All right. Let's go to our next guest, Joyce. Where are you calling in from?
Hi, you can hear me, right?
I can.
Yeah, great, thank you. Yes, I'm calling from Taipei, Taiwan. Hi, Gary.
Hello.
So nice that you're here to help us, guide us to the right path.
No, I didn't have anything else to do tonight.
Oh, such humor. Thank you. Now I forgot my question. Oh yeah. Yes. You are my first teacher guiding me to the Course of Miracle, and then I followed Ken afterwards. And then my question is, there's so many Course of Miracle teachers out there, and sometimes how do I know which one is true? I mean, in one of your books, you mentioned about an author and a book that you express an opinion that's not that he or she is not exactly the right teacher. But how would I know? Can you please answer that for me? Thank you.
Yeah, well, don't listen to anybody, okay? Except, the teachings of Ken Wapner. You know that he's right on, that he's teaching the course and that he's not compromising on it. The same is true of me and Cindy. We do not compromise on the message of the course. There are very few other teachers in the world who really stick to the course, who do not compromise on the teachings of the course. And so I'd be very careful about listening to any of them. I mean, Ken, he has enough work to last you the rest of your life, if you want.
Okay.
I'm not as prolific as him. I got other things to do. I like to travel, and he used to get up at, 4 o'clock in the morning and write. I'm just going to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning. So, it's just, a totally different thing. And, I'm not going to be as prolific as him, but I do know, I think for a fact that my books stick to the course, but you don't see that. And you start to learn the thought system so well, and you will know the thought system so well that eventually you'll be able to tell the difference if somebody is speaking the thought system of the course or not. You'll be able to tell for yourself. You won't need somebody else to tell you. But I only recommend, aside from Cindy and me, Ken's work. And I think that the new president of the Foundation for Inner Peace, her name is Tam Morgan. She's Judy Scutch's daughter. Judy passed away a couple of months ago.
Yes.
And her co-president just passed away. There's a whole changing of the guard going on as far as the publishers of the course is concerned, but their job is mainly taking care of the publication and distribution of the course. And so Art and Percy told me that the greatest teacher of the course is Ken.
Yes.
And they told me that I should learn everything that I can from him. I wish I could say that I've learned everything that I can from him. I haven't read all of his work or anything, but I did go see him several times in person. I met him quite a few times in person. I've read quite a bit of his stuff, and he's the only one I've ever seen there, aside from us, that really sticks to the course.
Okay.
And once you get used to what the thought system is, then it's hard for me to recommend any of these other teachers because I don't see them really sticking to the course.
Okay. Thank you so much. That's very reassuring. Thank you.
Sure.
Question goes to Gabby Alvarez.
Thank you. This is really quick, Gary. The question about the other teachers of the course have me wonder, made me curious about what do you think about David Hoffmeister as a teacher of the course? Just out of curiosity, like it piqued my curiosity, that question.
Well, believe it or not, I'm not a big reader, and I've never read any of David's books. So I'm not sure. I haven't worked with him. I've heard him speak. He's very charismatic, and I know that people like him very much, and they think that he's enlightened, and maybe he is. I don't know. when I've heard him speak, I found him to be very general, that, he doesn't usually give you a lot of teachings about the course. He gives kind of like a general kind of a talk, and usually he doesn't even do that for very long at all. Usually he goes right into questions and answers, and that's fine. But the reason I bring all of that up because he doesn't give a detailed presentation of how he's teaching the course. It's hard for me to tell exactly how he's teaching the course. So I certainly don't have anything against him. I'm just saying that I don't think I know him well enough, to comment on what he's doing.
Okay.
And I think that he and I would probably agree to disagree on a couple of things. I don't think it's necessarily in harmony with the course to have people come and live with you, and and that's just my opinion. But who knows best? I don't know best. And I do know that he seems like a good guy, and that we've always gotten along. And in the few times that I've seen him, we've always been friends, and we get along just fine. But I can't really comment in detail about his teachings.
Thank you, Gary.
We have one more. Gary, can we have one more question from Darren Hedgewald? He didn't raise his hand, but he has a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Hey, hi Gary, nice to see you.
You too.
Yeah, I was curious about why we come to this world at all.
Well, we made a mistake.
We did? I mean, you were saying tricked by the ego, but
Are we just trying to learn the ego or learn separation? Is that why we're here? Are we trying to learn what love is?
Well, it's kind of like a trick question at the same time, because we're not really here. So the course is saying, okay,
Right.
you had a dream, but you only dozed off for like an instant. So there was what the course describes as this tiny tick of time. And all of the things that seem to be going on are kind of like a repeat of that tiny tick of time, in which the course says that terror took the place of love. So there was only one tiny tick of time. According to the course, even that wasn't real, and it was over instantly. But we're reliving it over and over again until we learn to wake up. And that's really our purpose now, if you make it your purpose, and that is to wake up. But we can't really say why we came here, other than the fact that the course describes this whole thing as a mistake, and that it doesn't really exist, and that only God and his kingdom truly exists. Now, we could get into a back and forth where you could say, how could this have happened? But what the course says about that is that there will be many questions asked that the course does not answer. For example, how did the impossible occur? And according to the course, the idea that the separation from God happened is impossible, and that it never happened, and that separation never occurred. And then in the middle of the workbook, Jesus says something very interesting about that question. How did we get here, or why did we get here? He says there is no answer, only an experience. Seek only this, and do not let theology delay you. And what he's saying there is that the real answer to that question is going to come to you, not in words, but in an experience. An experience of what you really are and where you really are. And the course calls that revelation. It calls it the complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear. And what that means is that you get to experience what it's like to be with God, to actually connect with God and experience your perfect oneness with God. And Jesus is saying that that's the only answer that will ever really satisfy you, and that there are no words in this world that will satisfy you, but at the same time, words can help you get to that place that is beyond all words. So in a way, you could say that the 500,000 words in A Course in Miracles are designed to get us to a place that is beyond all words. And when you experience that experience of your perfect oneness with God, that's when you realize that you were there the whole time and that you never really left. And that's the best answer I can give you, is that once you have that experience, that's the real answer.
Yeah, I kind of put the cart before the horse.
I had an awakening very similar to that before I knew about the book or anything.
It happens.
And I got a few messages and stuff, and I basically was doing what the course was doing. I just stopped hating everybody. I forgave everybody in my life one by one, and the more I did it, the more love I felt. And I just kept doing it. It's like a snowball. And then I had like a 6-week experience. It's just crazy, about 1.5 years ago. And then I was directed to the books, and they, of course, they made a lot of sense to me right off the bat. So it's been a wonderful experience, and reading your books is wonderful too.
Well, thank you, and thanks for sharing that with us. It's great to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Darren. So, Gary, didn't you have like an experience where you saw all of your bodies that you had or lived through? Didn't you see all your bodies in a part of one of your books?
Yeah, well, I've had a couple of experiences like that, but I think the one you're referring to is when this time when Renard first appeared to me, and what they did was they showed me what I looked like in all of my different incarnations, and there were so many of them. It was really amazing, and it was one right after another. They would just go, "There's one, there's one, there's one, there's one," and they would just keep appearing as all these different people with all different shapes and sizes and clothing and everything. And I think the reason that they did that was to show me, look, if you've had so many lifetimes, then how can that one that you think that you're living right now be that important when you've had thousands of them? And I think that's part of the message of the Course, that the body is not as important as you thought it was, but there is a continuum to life, just like it says in the Manual for Teachers. It says, birth was not the beginning, and death is not the end, and there is an eternal continuum to it. Even in illusions, you can't kill it; it keeps going on forever.
That's so beautifully said, and I think that's the best way to end our call tonight. Gary, what would be your final message for everyone watching?
What I'd like to close with is a quotation from the Course, because I started out by saying, how big we are compared to how small we think we have become. And this quote, I think, really kind of like gives you the magnitude that the Course is talking about. And when it talks about the fact that you're bigger than the universe of time and space, the fact that what you really are cannot even be contained by the universe. This quote is from the Forgotten Song section, which was not only Helen Schuckman's, but also Judy Scutch's favorite section of the Course. And it goes like this. It says, beyond the body, beyond the sun and stars, past everything you see, and yet somehow familiar, is an arc of golden light that stretches as you look into a great and shining circle. And all the circle fills with light before your eyes. The edges of the circle disappear, and what is in it is no longer contained at all. Light expands and extends into infinity, forever shining and with no break or limit anywhere. Within it, everything is joined in perfect continuity. Nor is it possible to imagine that anything could be outside, for there is nowhere that this light is not. And this is the vision of the Son of God, whom you know well. Here is the sight of him who knows his Father. Here is the memory of what you are. And the end of that section says, what is a miracle but this remembering, which I was talking about earlier? The trick is to remember. What is a miracle but this remembering? And who is there in whom this memory lies not? And then it says, the light in one awakens it in all. And when you see it in your brother, you are remembering for everyone. So every mind is connected. So when you remember the truth, you can't help but be an influence on everybody else's mind. And that's why the Course talks about an interlocking chain of forgiveness. You know, it's all connected, and it's all going to end up with us as one instead of this, you know, seemingly separate sonship that the Course talks about sometimes, which is merely metaphor, because the truth is you can't even separate illusions, that we've always been one and we always will be.
So beautifully said. Well, thank you so much, Gary. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. And
It's my pleasure.
man, I was just impressed how you looked in the camera and said that, like, so well memorized that part. That's awesome.
Well, I might have gotten a couple of syllables wrong, but I just keep going.
I thought you were down here reading because my eyes were closed, and then I looked up and you're like full eye contact to the camera. I'm like, wow, you got this memorized. That's beautiful.
I know a lot of the Course by heart.
So awesome. Well, thank you for being that example for us, and really just leading the way. We appreciate you, love you, and look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Me too.